Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld.
Today is a really big day for AMD, and actually it's a really big day for all PC gamers and content creators and everybody who loves high-performance processors.
Whether you believe it or not, in 2017, AMD's Ryzen processors flipped the CPU world on its head. To this day, I remember exactly where I was when the first generation launched. I had taken my grandmother to a dentist appointment and was grabbing a bite to eat next door while waiting for her to finish. I watched a video on the reveal and it just seemed too good to be true. An 8-core, 16-thread CPU that had better performance than Intel's 8-core offerings at just $500. At the time, Intel's 8-core 6900K was $1,000, and later we found out that AMD's even cheaper Ryzen 7 1700 could perform right at the same level with overclocking. And later on, as their Ryzen 5 and 3 models were released, it became clear that AMD had done it for their entire lineup. Sure, Intel still won in gaming, but the level of price to performance that Ryzen brought to the professional world was simply unheard of at the time. Fast forward to today, and AMD's Ryzen 9 3950X is set to do it all over again. For those who don't know, the embargo has been lifted and reviews are pouring in. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get one, but that's okay. I've been over some reviews and wow, is this thing impressive. But first, let's quickly go over the specs. The Ryzen 9 3950X is a 16-core, 32-thread AM4 based Ryzen 3000 CPU. It comes with a base clock of 3.5 GHz and a single core boost of 4.7. It also has 64 MB of L3 cache and comes in at $750. When it comes to the performance, the 3950X simply kills it in heavily multi-threaded workloads, which of course is the only reason you'd buy something like this. In rendering, the 3950X is either on par with Intel's 18-core i9 9980XE, just under it, or it actually crushes it. We see similar things with encoding as well as some system tests. The one thing to keep in mind is that due to architectural differences, Intel wins at applications with the AVX 512 extension or something that likes a lot of memory channels, which obviously Intel's HEDT platform has. When it comes to gaming, the 3950X does about what you'd expect. With only 100 MHz more than the 3900X, yet no more cores able to be utilized by today's games, the 3950X is right around the same performance. In fact, they more or less seem to trade blows, with Intel's 9900K and 9700K leading the pack. One thing to note is that in a few games, even with much lower clocks, the 9980XE gets right up with the 9900K, though it goes back down below the 3950X and others. And really, I think that can be attributed to serious optimizations from game devs. And if anything, it's exciting to see the possibilities for higher core count CPUs. While there's still going to be issues with feeding all those cores efficiently, it seems at least possible. With all of that said, the 3950X definitely isn't something I'd recommend for gaming. Remember that these differences are only obtained by using the fastest GPUs on the market and playing at lower resolutions. Basically, always spend more on your GPU. Anyway, back to the 3950X. When I say this CPU changes things again, I mean it. Remember that this is a $750 processor, and while that may sound like a lot, the 9980XE was $2,000 when it was released, and at the time, many professionals felt it was a great buy. Sure, Cascade Lake X is cutting that price in half, which shows just how much of an impact this will have, but the 3950X is still cheaper. And it doesn't stop at the direct price difference either. AMD's Ryzen 9 3950X is a mainstream part, meaning you can get a much cheaper motherboard, and those who own a supported board from 2nd or even 1st gen Ryzen can get this without buying anything else. It'll also force Intel to add better CPUs to not only their HEDT lineup, but even their mainstream line. Of course, AMD's 3950X isn't perfect. Intel's chips still win in certain workloads because of a difference in architectural design, and some reviewers are still having a tough time getting the rated boost clocks. AMD is working on it, but as it sits now, that is an issue. With all of that said, the 3950X is still an absolute game changer, and it once again shows us what the power of competition can do. So while that does it for today, what do you think of the 3950X? Do you plan on picking one up when they release on the 25th? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. And as always, have a great day.